At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Greetings, Patrick Wood here for Technocracy News and Trends. Thank you for listening. We're going to be talking about this new movie that just came out, documentary from the UK, called The Agenda, Their Vision, Your Future. I encourage you to look at this video immediately. It's 2 hours long, almost, and it's covering technocracy from A to Z. I was set for an interview on this documentary probably 2 years ago at this point, but it's finally come out, and it's blockbuster at this point, and it's receiving traffic views all over the world, over 150,000 views so far just on this one instance, and probably well over 200,000 views if you consider everything together. Well, all the comments coming off this movie is amazing. Of course, there's some trolls that always want to get their fingers into it, but the comments have been absolutely stunning. You can read them yourself going to Rumble or to YouTube, and please do. I wrote this documentary was long in the making, is now finally released. The documentary was made in the UK. That was amazing. They've had so much trouble in the UK, you can't imagine. Nevertheless, these people, this Oracle film group, they somehow they put it all together, and they did a fantastic job. This is the first, I have to stress it, the first full-featured documentary on technocracy in the history of the world. So this is a big, big thing. I want to just say, however, I wrote in Technocracy Rising, the Trojan Horse of Global Transformation, in 2015. And, you know, I made this comparison, and this I'm just giving it to you here. I made this comparison between Nazi Germany and what's happening today in our country. And the idea was that Adolf Hitler, he just didn't all of a sudden appear, boom, to the world or to Germany. But it was over a period of time, he had an agenda that he was marching to that agenda. And when he got all of the chips on the chessboard or whatever the pieces on the chessboard lined out, boom, then he took control. So he understood the value of planning and purposing of resources and stuff to get his way in the end. Well, based on this thinking, this is what I wrote exactly in 2015. Based on this thinking, if today's technocrats are meticulously working toward a scientific dictatorship and applying a specific strategy to get there, wouldn't you think that they have a specific list of criteria that must be met before game over can be called? Wouldn't you think that they're comparing such a list to the actual progress they're making in the world? Wouldn't you think that they're monitoring their progress and will recognize when the list has been completed? If you see my point here, there are only two questions left. Here they are. When that day comes, will the technocrats have the guts to shut the old world order down and simply declare the system as dictator? If so, how long will it take them to act? There you go. We're at that point in history right now. The coup d'etat is almost complete. We don't know how it's going to end, and because maybe the people are going to do something about it, maybe the politicians are going to do something about it. I doubt it, but nevertheless, now's the time that we'll look back and say the technocrats won. So look at this movie immediately. I just encourage you to listen to it 2 times, 3 times, whatever, and internalize exactly what it's saying. Yes, there's some other things that could have been said, I'm sure, but this wasn't my movie, mind you. This was somebody else that got the wind of technocracy in Europe. Actually, my friend David Hughes is another person that was interviewed for this video. You'll see him in there as well. But in any case, my hat is off to these people who did this movie in the first place. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Speaker Johnson. He gave a impromptu presser the other day. This was June 9th. And you won't believe what he said. This is incredible. I have to play this for you. I'm going to play it all the way through. It's 2 minutes. No, 1 minute and 35 seconds. I'm going to play it through one time, and then I'm going to go back in the beginning and start to comment exactly on what he said.
This is a provision within the Big Beautiful Bill regarding artificial intelligence, unregulated AI in all 50 states for the next 10 years. Are you aware of that? Why is that included in the Big Beautiful Bill, and does the White House know about it?
Yeah, of course. I know about it. The White House knows about it. I spoke with it as recently as last night with David Sachs, who's the AI czar in the White House. Here's the rationale behind it. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about this. It would be a very dangerous thing, we feel, for all 50 states to have a patchwork of regulations on AI. There's a number of reasons for that. Imagine a state like California that hyper-regulates everything. They would stifle innovation. They would put so much tape and regulation on top of it, they would smother it. And that would be a serious problem from a national security standpoint. Because remember, we're in a race with other countries, not the least of which is China. And if we hamper our own innovation and we make it too complicated to continue to develop, then China will overtake us, and that's a very dangerous situation. And look, there's a classified level of briefing on this that I wish everybody could hear, but you need to understand we're doing the responsible thing. Now, I don't know at the end of the day, the Senate, of course, is looking at that provision to see about the scope and the duration of the pause, I would say. And we'll see how that comes out in their deliberations. But in the House, we felt like that was an important thing to do. I am a fierce guardian of states' rights and federalism and all those principles that made us the greatest nation in the history of the world. But there are a handful of issues that beg to be addressed on a federal level, and this is one of them. And Congress needs time to do this right so that we don't get ourselves behind China.
Okay, let's talk about this. This is absolutely incredible. You heard a thing now one time. And let's start from the beginning again.
Provision within the Big Beautiful Bill regarding artificial intelligence, unregulated AI in all 50 states for the next 10 years. Are you aware of that? Why is that included in the Big Beautiful Bill?
Okay, number one, the reporter is asking the question, have you heard about this provision in the bill that prevents states from creating their own AI regulations? That's a fair question for sure, because a lot of people are concerned about that at this point. Why did they put that provision in there? Who did it in the first place? Well, we're going to find out. It came from the White House directly. Here you go. Here's the answer.
Yeah, of course. I know about it. The White House knows about it. I spoke with...
Okay, the White House knows about it. Now listen to this.
As recently as last night with David Sachs, who's the AI czar in the White House. Here's the rationale.
Okay, here's where he gets his information from. David Sachs, the AI czar. This guy is not confirmed by the Senate. He's actually just a special advisor to the president as an AI czar. He's also the crypto czar. He's one of the original members of the PayPal mafia. He was in cahoots with Peter Thiel from the get-go when PayPal was created in the early 2000s. And this is where this whole thing came from in the first place. David Sachs, who has no standing anywhere to do anything relative to policy, and especially putting a provision in, unconstitutional provision in, to this bill. That's inconceivable to me that this guy gets a free pass. He's unaccountable. He's not elected, and he just shows up in the White House as the AI czar and also the crypto czar with no particular authority at all. Now let's listen further.
Behind it, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about this.
There's some misunderstanding, he says. Oh, you bet there's misunderstanding, Mr. Johnson. You got to be kidding. We're concerned about here, and you're telling us that you say we're confused, we're not understanding the issue here. I get it.
It would be a very dangerous thing, we feel, for all 50 states to have a patchwork of regulations on AI for a number of reasons.
Of course. The technocrats hate the politicians in the country. They want to prevent they're slapping the states in the face, all of the political system across the country. They're slapping them in the face as if they were their mortal enemies to block them, who would dare to block the technocrats to doing what they want to do with AI in our country. Well, of course, if it's possible to get the states to stand down, then everything is wide open for these technocrats to take over the state and country at that point. It's amazing.
Imagine a state like California that hyper-regulates everything.
We'll be back right after the break. We're going to continue this discussion.
July 6, 2005. This is Tom Harper. Man figures plankton stopped his rare cancer. We got more of a response from this from our viewers than anything else you and I have ever discussed.
Tom Harper, 20 years ago, he had mesothelioma, deadly lung cancer, was given weeks to live, and he just intuitively started to eat the phytoplankton out of his fish tanks because he fed the phytoplankton to his shellfish. He was a shellfish farmer. And when he went in for the surgery, the surgeon came out of the operating room and told his family, I have not ever seen anything like it. The cancer is benign, and Tom Harper lived for years. He retired in Hawaii. We're not making any claim.
Here he is in his own words.
Started on a daily routine of just taking a bit of paste, putting it in my mouth, and wash it down with a drink of water. Within about 10 to 15 days, here I am, less pain in my back. I knew that something was going on, so I just kept eating half a teaspoon of this paste a day. I was booked to go for surgery in Victoria where they were going to do what they call a talc treatment. They went in there to have a look, saw something they never seen before, took 11 sites, sent them away for biopsy. I got the news back. Everything was benign. They just did not know what to make of it. Everything was absolutely clean. And I've tried dieting all my life because I'm a diabetic. If it's a coincidence or not, I don't know. My blood sugar started dropping. My weight started falling off. Here I am, no longer requiring insulin, and I was taking 88 units a day of insulin. I eat just about what I want in moderation, and I have no elevated sugar levels, and I feel fabulous.
People, you hear the word cancer, and they want you to be instilled with fear. Cancer is nothing but a profound failure of the immune system. And what happened with Tom Harper is the phytoplankton is microscopic. It's God's microscopic food. And the Gatatiana is the most nutritionally comprehensive strain phytoplankton in the world. David Hunter studied phytoplankton for 20 years because he worked for Tom Harper, and he was there in person and witnessed Tom's Recovery, it's about getting pure nutrition inside your cells. And what happens, your body balances again or goes back to homeostasis. And when your body is pH balanced or in homeostasis, disease can't grow. It is literally microscopic, pure single cell plant food with protein and omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids, with amino acids and vitamins and minerals. One scoop a day. There's 90 billion plant cells in here just for everyday nutrition and energy and, cognitive support, because this is God's pure nutrition.
Go to melissahousegpa.com today. Discover the science and learn more about the wonderful benefits of Gadatana phytoplankton. That's melissahousegpa.com. melissahousegpa.com.
Okay, so he talks about California. He uses them as an example. Well, if California would get a hold of this, where they can make their own regulations, why they would be over the top to create some dystopian whatever. Excuse me, Speaker Johnson, isn't California already the home of Silicon Valley? Yes, all of those people from San Francisco and Marin County, San Francisco, all the way down to at least Salinas, California. They're already regulated. What have they done with it? Nothing. They've aided and abetted and enabled Silicon Valley to do what it's doing already. This is a crazy comparison he makes here. California is already on board with technocracy, and it has been for decades at this point.
It would stifle innovation. They would put so much tape.
Yeah, so California is going to stifle innovation. Give me a break. Like I said, California has done everything in their power to make sure that Silicon Valley succeeds.
A regulation on top of it that would smother it. And that would be a serious problem from a national security standpoint, because remember, we're in a race with other countries, not the least of which is China.
Oh, so it's China now. We have to beat China. Somehow we're going to beat China by preventing our states to not perform their normal functions. Well, China is being made out to be a false enemy to the United States in the first place, especially with AI. Let me explain why. I saw a chart just the other day where the energy distribution for AI was depicted on a worldwide map. And the idea is, well, where are the big data centers? Where are they being constructed? And then how much energy, how big are they, or how much energy they're going to consume in that locale. So you see some in Europe, you see some in a few, even South America, small ones. You see, of course, some in China and Malaysia and other India. But China and the United States certainly are the biggest consumers of energy right now for AI. If you look at the comparison of energy consumed by America versus China, China's nowhere in the picture at this point, hardly. In other words, they're making them out to be an enemy of us in a serious race for AI dominance. That can't be true because China is not sucking the energy out of the system like we are in our country. And I have to say, especially the Northeast at this point, Maryland, Virginia, their power consumption is just inconceivable at this point. It's just blocks and blocks of ellipses that you see in that area especially. But it's all over the country. It's in Memphis, Tennessee, Texas, Arizona, Washington State, you name it. All of these places are consuming inordinate amounts of energy, and it will continue to do so in the future. So Speaker Johnson here is just blowing smoke at us.
And if we hamper our own innovation and we make it too complicated to continue to develop, then China will overtake us, and that's a very dangerous situation. And
there you go. China is going to overtake us if we don't act now to prevent our states from doing their function.
Look, there's a classified level of briefing on this that I wish everybody could hear, but you need to understand we're doing the...
Yeah, I'd like to hear that conversation that you had with Mr. Sachs, Speaker Johnson. Would you possibly just give us a transcript or something so we can see exactly what you said to this unelected arch technocrat who's obviously dictating a policy to America?
The responsible thing. Now, I don't know at the end of the day, the Senate, of course, is looking at that provision to see about the scope and the duration of the pause, I would say. And we'll see how that comes out in their deliberations. But in the House, we felt like that was an important thing to do. I am a fierce guardian of states' rights and federalism.
Yeah. You're a fierce guardian of state rights. Really. Oh, folks, I tell you what, you just can't make this up. In the end of the day, somehow maybe Speaker Johnson is going to get the idea that these technocrats hate his guts, and they're going to throw him under the bus with all of the other members of Congress and the Senate. If they could do that right now, they would, because that's what they were going to do back in the 1930s. They wanted to get rid of all the politicians at that point and just throw them all under the bus. Go home, guys. Go get a job. Get a real job, a day job, maybe a night job, whatever. It's been stunning over the decades just how much the technocrat class hates politicians. But now we see our own legislators are sucking into this thing like crazy. They're pimping for them at this point. Our elected politicians. It just leaves you winded at the end of the day. Absolutely incredible.
And all those principles that made us the greatest nation in the history of the world, but there are a handful of issues that beg to be addressed on a federal level, and this is one.
Yeah, there's a handful of just a minor few issues that needs to be addressed on a federal level. He minimizes the whole thing. Oh, it's just a few things we need to take care of here, like forbidding the states to take action against AI. Okay.
Them and Congress needs time to do this right so that we don't get ourselves behind China.
Okay, I can't say anymore. It makes my blood boil to hear this guy with a straight face tell us that he's taking his cue and his policies from David Sachs, for one thing, and then telling us we're in a race with China. Therefore, we have to clamp down on our states, making us more dystopian, and somehow that's going to make it possible for us to beat China in the end. Incredible, absolutely incredible. This is a post. People, you need to go get this video, download it, share it, explain it to people if they can't understand it in the first place. They need to understand what's going on here. We are being smoked by these technocrats, totally smoked. And all of the people in Washington, D.C. that we can see that are technocrats, that includes people like Peter Thiel, for sure, J.D. Vance, another one, David Sachs, another one. Elon Musk has been warring with Trump recently, but nevertheless, he's there. All his henchmen are still there in Washington, D.C. So we have other people like the Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce. These people are running over our whole government at this point, dictating policy along the way. And let me also say this. Elon Musk left the government when his 134 days, I think, was expired. The deal with a special advisor to the president, there's a provision that says you're only supposed to serve, I think it's 134 days a year. That goes along with your title. Outside of that, Elon Musk left on cue. His 134 days were over. That's pure and simple. He didn't have a salary either during that period of time, but nevertheless, when his time was up and he left, well, David Sachs, as the AI czar, he has the same type of contract with Trump and the administration. He's a special advisor to the president. It says this clearly in the regulations and in his relationship. Clearly, he has 134 days to serve the president. But wait, he's exceeded his authority at this point. He's beyond 134 days now. So why is Speaker Johnson calling him up on the phone? He should have said, I called him at home because he's not with the government anymore. He's not the special advisor to the president. He's not the AI czar anymore. He's not the crypto czar anymore. But he didn't say that. He said, no, I had an official conversation with David Sachs just yesterday to find all this stuff out, why we need to clamp down on the states, make America into a dystopian universe, so that the technocrats who are profiting all of the stuff, making billions and billions of dollars, so they can have their way. Something's wrong with the whole picture here. Something really wrong. So let's just talk maybe just for a few seconds. This article was here as well. DARPA to simulate disease outbreaks, model lockdown, vaccination, messaging strategies, etc. Oh, yes, they're at it again. They're at it again. Here we go again. More technocrats from DARPA. It's a hotbed of technocrats in the military. Well, that's all for now. I just need to get this out immediately, especially about the movie. Check it out, would you? Share it with anybody that you can get to listen to it. In the meantime, God bless.